Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the huge alien space station floating in the dark. 300 years had passed since humans fought their last great war and hid inside their own solar system. Now they were finally strong enough to travel to the stars again. The station looked empty, but its technology was far beyond anything humans had ever built. Jake watched as Commander Lisa Park led her team through the station's airlock. The corridors inside were clean and bright like someone had just left yesterday. Dr. Alex Carter walked beside Lisa carrying his tools for studying alien history and culture. The walls were covered with writing in many different alien languages that no human had ever seen before. "This place is huge," Lisa said through her radio. "The corridors go on for miles in every direction." Alex ran his scanner over the strange symbols on the walls. "These writings are from dozens of different species. This must have been some kind of meeting place for aliens from all over the galaxy." Lieutenant Ben Taylor found a control room filled with glowing screens and floating displays. "Captain Morrison, you need to see this. I think I found their main computer system." Dr. Nina Brooks joined Ben at the computers and started working on the alien interface. Her fingers moved quickly over the strange controls as data flowed across the screens. "I'm accessing their database now. There are records here going back thousands of years." Jake felt his stomach tighten as he waited for the team to report what they found. After 3 centuries of silence, humanity was finally reaching out to the galaxy again. He hoped they would find friends and allies among the stars. "Captain," Nina said, her voice quiet and worried, "I found something strange. This database has detailed records of thousands of different species. Their histories, their territories, their abilities, everything. But humans aren't listed anywhere." Lisa checked another section of the station. The diplomatic quarters have meeting rooms set up for hundreds of different alien races. There are translation devices for languages we've never heard of, but nothing about Earth or humans. Alex studied the historical records more carefully. According to this data, there's a huge alliance called the Galactic Confederation. They've been meeting here for over 2,000 years. Trade agreements, border disputes, scientific exchanges. But they never mention humans even once. Ben found video records of recent meetings. These recordings are only 50 years old. Aliens, discussing shipping routes and mining rights. They talk about sectors of space that include our solar system, but they act like no one lives there. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "How is that possible? We've been sending radio signals into space for over a century. Our wars would have been visible from nearby star systems." Nina continued searching through the database. "Captain, I found something else. There are references to an ancient species called the Makers. According to these records, they built powerful weapons before disappearing without explanation. The timeline matches when humans stopped communicating with the galaxy." "What kind of weapons?" Jake asked. "The records are incomplete," Nina replied, "but the descriptions are terrifying. The Makers supposedly had technology that could destroy entire star systems. Other species were so afraid of them that they erased most records of their existence." Alex found more disturbing information. The few remaining records described the Makers as beings who appeared from nowhere and vanished, just as quickly. But their weapons and technology were unlike anything any other species had ever seen. Lisa explored deeper into the station and found something that made her blood freeze. "Captain, there's a sealed section here with warning signs in every alien language. The symbols all mean the same thing. Danger, keep out, Makers technology inside." Jake made a decision. "Lisa, don't go in there yet. Nina, keep searching the database. I want to know everything about these Makers before we explore that section." Ben monitored the station's systems and noticed something alarming. "Captain, our presence here is being recorded. The station is sending signals to somewhere in deep space." Nina's voice became urgent. "I found more records about the Makers. Other species describe them as appearing human-like but with abilities far beyond normal biology. They could survive in space without protection, and their technology responded to their thoughts." "That sounds like science fiction," Jake said. "Maybe," Alex replied. "But according to these records, the Makers weren't conquerors. They seemed to be protecting other species from something. The records mention an ancient threat from beyond the galaxy that the Makers fought against." Suddenly, alarms began ringing. Throughout the station, the lights changed from white to red and automated voices spoke in alien languages. "Captain," Ben said urgently, "I'm detecting massive ships approaching from hyperspace. At least 20 vessels, all bigger than anything we've ever built." Jake felt his heart racing. "Lisa, get your team back to the ship now. We're leaving." "Sir," Nina called out, "I found one more thing. The database has a special file that just activated. It's a message addressed to the returning makers." "What does it say?" Jake demanded. Nina's voice was barely a whisper. "It says, 'The galaxy remembers your crimes. Surrender now or face the consequences.'" The alien ships dropped out of hyperspace around the station. They were sleek and powerful with weapons that glowed like stars. Jake could see smaller ships launching from their bays and heading straight for the human vessel. "All teams return to the ship immediately," Jake ordered. "Prepare for emergency departure." Lisa and her team ran through the station corridors as the alien voices grew louder over the communication systems. Behind them, sections of the station began sealing themselves with heavy blast doors. "Captain," Alex said as they reached their ship, "whatever happened between these makers and the rest of the galaxy, they think we're connected to it. They think we're the makers returning." Jake watched the alien ships surround them. "But we're not. We're just humans trying to find our place in the galaxy." "Are we?" Nina asked quietly. "The genetic scans they're running on our ship suggest otherwise. According to their readings, human DNA contains markers that match the makers exactly." The lead alien ship sent a message in perfect English. "Makers, you have returned to face judgment. Surrender your weapons and submit to Confederation justice. Resistance will result in the destruction of your species." Jake stared at the alien fleet surrounding his ship. Humanity had spent 3 centuries hiding from the galaxy, rebuilding their civilization after a devastating war. Now they had returned to find themselves accused of crimes they didn't remember committing. As the alien ships powered their weapons, Jake realized that humanity's greatest challenge wasn't finding their place among the stars. It was discovering who they really were and what they had done to make an entire galaxy fear their return. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center on Earth watching alien ships surround their outer colonies. The creatures called themselves the Hegemony, and their leader spoke through a crystal device that made strange humming sounds. The alien's voice was cold and mechanical when it delivered humanity's fate. "You will surrender all maker artifacts immediately," the alien commander said. "Your species will submit to permanent quarantine in your home system. Resistance will result in complete elimination." Kate looked at her officers around the command table. "What maker artifacts? We don't know what you're talking about." The alien's response sent ice through her veins. "Your genetic signatures match the makers exactly. You cannot hide what you are. We have been watching for your return for 3,000 years." Colonel Ryan Davis led human forces on Mars as alien troops landed around their settlements. The invaders were tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. They carried weapons that looked like glass rods but could melt through steel armor. Ryan watched from his bunker as they set up scanning equipment around human cities. "They're not trying to kill us," Ryan reported to Earth Command. "They're studying us. Every human they capture gets scanned and questioned about our technology." Dr. Emma Stone worked in an underground research facility analyzing the alien scanner data. Her computers showed that the aliens weren't looking for weapons or advanced machines. They were searching for something in human biology itself. "Admiral Sullivan," Emma said over the secure channel, "the alien scans are focused on our DNA. They're comparing human genetic codes to something in their database." Emma's analysis revealed disturbing information. Human DNA contained sequences that didn't appear in any other known species. These sequences looked artificial, like someone had deliberately inserted them into human genes millions of years ago. Meanwhile, Dr. Sam Green was exploring ruins on Europa that human colonies had built over without knowing they were there. The structures were made of materials that shouldn't exist according to human science. When Sam touched the smooth walls, they began to glow and activate systems that had been sleeping for thousands of years. "This technology responds to human contact," Sam reported. "It won't work for anyone else. The aliens can't even detect these ruins unless a human activates them first. Back on Earth, Kate received a transmission from Captain Morrison, who had escaped the alien trap at the space station. His face appeared on her screen looking exhausted and frightened. "Admiral, I've seen their records about the Makers," Jake said. "They show images of beings who looked exactly like humans. But these Makers had technology that could reshape matter and energy with their thoughts alone." Jake continued his report while alien ships patrolled outside Earth's atmosphere. The galaxy fought a war against the Makers 3,000 years ago. According to their history, the Makers nearly destroyed every civilization in the galaxy before they suddenly vanished. Kate studied the data Jake had transmitted. "But we were primitive humans 3,000 years ago. We barely had written language. How could we have been fighting galactic wars?" Dr. Stone interrupted with new findings from her genetic research. "Admiral, I think I know what happened. The genetic markers the aliens are detecting aren't from our current civilization. They're from something much older." Emma explained her discovery while alien forces tightened their blockade around Earth. "Human DNA contains genetic memories, information passed down from our ancient ancestors. Most of it is inactive, but the alien scanners are triggering dormant sequences. On Europa, Sam made an incredible discovery in the deepest parts of the ruins. He found a chamber filled with floating displays that showed star maps and battle formations. The displays only appeared when humans were present and seemed to respond to their thoughts and emotions. These aren't just ruins," Sam transmitted to Earth. "They're training facilities. Everything here is designed to teach humans how to use technology that works through mental commands." Ryan's situation on Mars grew more desperate as alien forces surrounded human settlements, but his soldiers discovered something strange during their resistance operations. Human tactics and instincts consistently outperformed alien battle computers. "Our people are adapting to their technology faster than they expected," Ryan reported. "It's like we've fought battles like this before. Our soldiers know where to strike before the aliens even move." Lieutenant Amy Foster led a raid on an alien supply depot and captured one of their data cores. The information inside revealed the truth about why the galaxy feared humanity's return. "The Maker War nearly ended all life in the galaxy," Amy translated from the alien files. "Every species that survived carries genetic modifications designed to make them afraid of the Makers. It's programmed into their biology to fear us." Kate realized the scope of what they were facing. "So every alien species in the galaxy has been genetically programmed to see humans as their greatest enemy." Dr. Stone made the most disturbing discovery while analyzing deeper levels of human genetic code. "Admiral, the genetic memories go back much further than 3,000 years. There are sequences that are millions of years old." Emma's research showed that ancient humans weren't primitive at all. They had been an advanced spacefaring civilization that ruled large parts of the galaxy. But something had forced them to erase themselves from history and hide their descendants on Earth. "The genetic memories are incomplete," Emma explained, "but they show images of a great war against something that came from outside the galaxy. The original humans fought to protect other species from a threat that could consume entire realities." Captain Morrison returned to Earth with more alien records he had stolen during his escape. The files contained star maps showing the locations of hidden human installations throughout the galaxy. "There are hundreds of them," Jake reported. "Weapons facilities, research stations, manufacturing centers, all hidden and waiting for humans to return and activate them." Kate looked at the data and realized they were facing a choice that would determine humanity's future. They could surrender to the aliens and accept permanent imprisonment, or they could activate their ancient heritage and risk becoming the monsters the galaxy remembered. "Admiral," Emma said quietly, "there's something else in the genetic memories. Images of what the original humans were fighting against. The threat they died to keep away from the galaxy." Emma's screen showed brief flashes of something that existed beyond normal space and time. Entities that consumed matter and energy and turned entire star systems into extensions of their will. "The barriers keeping them away are weakening," Emma continued. "That's why humanity's genetic programming is activating now. The ancient enemy is trying to return." Kate stared at the alien fleet surrounding Earth. The galaxy had forgotten humanity to protect itself from remembering what humans had died to. "Keep locked away." Now humanity faced the same choice their ancestors had made millions of years ago. As warning signals came from deep space sensors, Kate knew their time for decisions was running out. Something was approaching from the void between galaxies, and humanity would have to remember who they really were to face what was coming. Dr. Rachel Carter worked in Earth's deepest underground facility, trying to unlock the secrets hidden in human genes. Her brother Alex had died during the first alien encounter, but his research lived on in the data he had transmitted before the attack. Rachel used technology found in the Europa ruins to access genetic memories that had been sleeping in human DNA for millions of years. The process was painful and dangerous. Rachel connected her mind to the alien technology and felt memories that weren't her own, flooding into her consciousness. She saw flashes of lives lived in the distant past when humans ruled vast sections of the galaxy with technology that seemed like magic. Fleet Commander Tony Mitchell led desperate attacks against alien supply lines as Earth's defenses crumbled. The hegemony had superior ships and weapons, but human tactics continued to surprise them. Tony's pilots flew like they had been born in space, making impossible maneuvers that no training could explain. "It's like muscle memory," Tony reported to Admiral Sullivan. "My people know how to fight these battles even though they've never seen alien ships before." Lieutenant Amy Foster discovered that human intuition worked better than alien battle computers. During combat, her soldiers could predict enemy movements and find weaknesses that shouldn't have been visible. The aliens' advanced technology couldn't compete with human instincts that came from somewhere deep in their genetic code. In the Pacific Ocean, marine biologist Dr. Chris Webb explored underwater ruins that were older than human civilization. The structures had been hidden beneath miles of water and sediment, but they still functioned perfectly. Manufacturing facilities waited in the darkness, their machines ready to produce weapons and equipment that no human engineer could understand. "These factories only respond to specific humans," Chris reported from his deep-sea vessel. "The genetic scanners won't activate unless the person has the right DNA markers." Rachel made a breakthrough in her genetic memory research. She successfully accessed complete memories from humanity's ancient past and witnessed the final days of the original human civilization. What she saw changed everything she thought she knew about her species. The ancient humans weren't conquerors or destroyers as the aliens believed. They were gardeners who helped younger species develop and protected them from threats that came from beyond the known universe. Human technology was designed not to destroy but to create and preserve life throughout the galaxy. "We weren't the monsters," Rachel transmitted to the surface. "We were the protectors, the galaxy's immune system against something far worse than any normal enemy." But something had gone terribly wrong in the distant past. Rachel's visions showed her the return of an ancient enemy that existed outside normal reality. These entities didn't use ships or conventional weapons. They consumed the fundamental forces that held the universe together, turning entire regions of space into extensions of their alien will. The original humans had fought a war that nearly destroyed everything. Star systems were converted into weapons. Entire species were transformed into living tools for the conflict. Reality itself became unstable as forces beyond normal physics clashed across multiple dimensions. Fleet Commander Mitchell's situation grew more desperate as the hegemony brought additional forces to Earth's solar system. But human resistance continued to achieve impossible victories against overwhelming odds. "Admiral," Tony reported during a brief moment between battles, "my pilots are starting to change. They're using abilities that shouldn't be possible. Some of them can survive in space without suits. Others seem to know what the enemy will do before they do it." Dr. Webb made an incredible discovery in the deepest ocean trenches. He found command centers that had been waiting for millions of years for their operators to return. When Webb touched the control systems, his mind was flooded with information about humanity's true purpose. "These aren't just weapons," Webb transmitted to the surface. "They're tools for fighting enemies that exist in multiple realities at the same time. The ancient humans built them to battle things that normal physics can't affect." Rachel continued accessing genetic memories and learned the terrible truth about what had happened to the original human civilization. Faced with an enemy that could consume entire realities, the ancient humans made the ultimate sacrifice. They chose to erase themselves from existence rather than let the galaxy be destroyed. Using technology that operated beyond normal space and time, they sealed the ancient enemy in the void between realities and removed all traces of human civilization from history. But they left safeguards, Rachel realized as the memories became clearer. They scattered their genetic code among primitive human survivors on Earth, a failsafe system that would activate when the ancient enemy tried to return. The genetic programming in modern humans wasn't just memories. It was a form of reincarnation technology that allowed the ancient civilization to return through their descendants when the galaxy faced the same threat again. Admiral Sullivan received Rachel's report just as long-range sensors detected something emerging from dark space beyond the galaxy's edge. The readings made no sense according to normal physics. Objects that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously were approaching at speeds that should have been impossible. The barriers are failing, Rachel transmitted from her underground laboratory. The seals that the ancient humans died to create are breaking down. The real enemy is coming back. Dr. Webb activated more of the underwater facilities and watched as massive structures rose from the ocean floor. The technology that emerged was beyond anything modern humans could comprehend, but somehow he knew exactly how to use it. The genetic memories are activating in everyone with the right DNA markers, Webb reported. Humans all over Earth are starting to remember abilities their ancestors possessed millions of years ago. Fleet Commander Mitchell felt the change happening, in himself and his pilots. They were becoming something more than human as ancient genetic programming activated dormant abilities. The transformation was necessary but terrifying as they began to perceive reality in ways that normal human minds couldn't handle. Admiral, Mitchell reported, we're not fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for the entire universe. If these things break through the barriers completely, everything that exists will be consumed. Rachel accessed the deepest genetic memories and saw the full scope of what was approaching. The ancient enemy wasn't just from another galaxy. They were entities that existed before the universe began, beings that viewed reality itself as food to be consumed. The original humans had been created by the galaxy's first civilization specifically to fight this threat. Every human carried within their genes the pattern for weapons and abilities designed to combat enemies that existed beyond normal physics. We're not a species that evolved naturally, Rachel realized. We're a living weapon system designed to protect existence itself from things that should never be allowed to exist. As the entities from beyond space continued their approach toward the galaxy, humans all over Earth began to change. The genetic programming that had been dormant for millions of years was finally activating, turning ordinary people into something their ancient ancestors had been. Admiral Sullivan watched the transformation beginning in her own forces and knew that humanity was about to remember not just who they were, but what they had been created to do. The galaxy had forgotten them to avoid remembering the horrors they existed to fight. Now those horrors were returning, and humanity would have to become monsters themselves to keep the universe from being consumed by something far worse. President Julia Rodriguez coordinated Earth's defense from the rebuilt Cheyenne Mountain complex as reality itself began to bend around the approaching threat. The entities emerging from dark space didn't use normal technology. They reshaped matter and energy at the most basic level, turning entire star systems into weapons that existed across multiple dimensions. The hegemony fleets that had once surrounded Earth now fled in complete terror. Their mighty civilizations were crumbling as the ancient enemy consumed everything in its path. Alien worlds that had existed for millions of years simply stopped existing as the entities passed through their space. Dr. Gary Hughes worked with Rachel Carter's genetic research to find the locations of ancient human weapon caches hidden throughout the solar system. These weren't traditional weapons, but reality-altering devices that existed partially outside normal space and time. Only humans with complete genetic sequences can operate them, Gary explained to President Rodriguez. The technology requires specific DNA patterns that were inserted into our ancestors millions of years ago. Commander Ashley Brooks led the first mission to activate the facility hidden beneath Saturn's moon Titan. Her team descended through kilometers of ice and rock to reach chambers that had been waiting in darkness for eons. The complex was massive, spanning hundreds of kilometers in all directions. "This isn't just a weapons facility," Ashley reported as her team explored the installation. "It's a training center designed to teach humans how to fight enemies that exist beyond normal reality." The technology inside the Titan complex was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Control systems responded to thoughts instead of physical commands. Weapons that could affect multiple realities simultaneously. Training simulators that prepared human minds for combat against entities that viewed physical laws as suggestions, rather than rules. Marine Sergeant Kevin Murphy became the first human to successfully interface with the ancient battle systems during a desperate defense of the lunar colonies. The entities had reached Earth's outer system and were converting the asteroid belt into extensions of their collective consciousness. Kevin connected his mind to the Titan facility's weapon controls and felt his consciousness expand across multiple dimensions. He could see the enemy as they really were, beings of pure will that consumed the fundamental forces holding reality together. "They're not alive the way we understand life," Kevin transmitted to the command center. "They're more like a cosmic infection that spreads by consuming the rules that make existence possible." The transformation Kevin underwent was traumatic but necessary. His human body began to change as ancient genetic programming activated dormant abilities. He could perceive threats that existed in parallel realities and respond to attacks that came from directions that didn't exist in normal space. More humans underwent the transformation process as additional weapon facilities activated throughout the solar system. Each person who connected to the ancient technology became something beyond normal human limitations, but retained their essential humanity. Dr. Hughes made disturbing discoveries about humanity's true heritage as more genetic sequences activated. The original humans hadn't just been advanced beings. They were entities that existed simultaneously across multiple realities and timelines, conscious beings spread across dimensions that normal minds couldn't perceive. The genetic modifications in modern humans aren't just memories, Gary explained to the Leadership Council. They're a form of reincarnation technology. The ancient human civilization is literally returning through their descendants. Rachel Carter worked frantically to understand the enemy's true nature as they consumed more of the galaxy. Her genetic memories showed her the last war fought between humanity and these entities, a conflict that had nearly destroyed the fabric of reality itself. "They're not from another universe," Rachel realized. "They're prisoners that were locked away in the void between realities. The original humans died to maintain the barriers that kept them contained. The barriers had been weakening for millions of years, and humanity's return to space had finally triggered their complete collapse. The entities were free and hungry after eons of imprisonment, ready to consume everything that existed to satisfy their endless appetite." President Rodriguez watched as the transformation spread through Earth's population. Humans with the right genetic markers were changing into beings capable of fighting threats that conventional weapons couldn't even detect. The process was irreversible and often painful as human minds adapted to perceive multiple realities simultaneously. Commander Brooks completed the activation of the Prometheus Array, a network of reality anchors hidden throughout the galaxy. Each anchor required a human operator willing to merge their consciousness with the ancient systems, effectively sacrificing their individual identity to become part of humanity's ultimate weapon. "The array doesn't just fight the entities," Ashley explained. "It reinforces the fundamental laws of physics in areas where they're trying to break down reality. We're not just weapons, we're living patches for holes in the universe." Kevin Murphy led other transformed humans in the first successful engagement against the entity forces attacking Earth's moon. The battle took place across multiple dimensions, simultaneously, with human consciousness serving as both weapon and shield against beings that existed beyond normal space. "Fighting them is like trying to battle pure thought," Kevin reported. "They attack through concepts and ideas rather than physical force. Our transformed minds can match their attacks and counter with reality-based responses." The lunar battle revealed the true scope of the conflict. The entities weren't just trying to consume human civilization. They were attempting to unravel the basic structure of existence itself, turning the universe into something that could sustain their alien form of consciousness. Gary Hughes discovered the final piece of humanity's ancient purpose while analyzing the deepest genetic sequences. Humans weren't just weapons against these specific entities. They were designed as guardians of reality itself, capable of fighting any threat that existed beyond the normal laws of physics. Every human contains a piece of the cosmic firewall that keeps existence stable, Gary transmitted to all command centers. We're not just a species. We're a living immune system for the universe itself. The revelation explained why the galaxy had forgotten humanity. Remembering what humans truly were would have made the younger species targets for cosmic predators drawn to knowledge of the ancient war. Forgetting was the only way to keep the galaxy safe from attracting attention from things that existed in the dark spaces between realities. As more humans transformed and took their positions in the Prometheus array, they began to remember not just their individual purpose but their collective destiny. They were the eternal guardians who stood watch against threats that normal civilizations couldn't even imagine. President Rodriguez made the final decision to fully activate humanity's ancient heritage. All humans with genetic markers are to report to transformation centers immediately. We're not fighting for Earth or even the galaxy anymore. We're fighting for the right of reality to continue existing. The transformation centers activated across Earth as humanity prepared for the final battle. Each person who underwent the process became part of a collective consciousness that spanned multiple realities, united in purpose but retaining their individual humanity. As the entity's main force approached Earth, transformed humans took their positions at weapon installations throughout the solar system. They were no longer just humans defending their home. They were the universe's immune system preparing to fight off an infection that threatened everything that existed. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine whether reality itself would survive or be consumed by entities that viewed existence as nothing more than food for their alien hunger. General Paul Edwards coordinated the final battle from Olympus Station, a massive weapons platform that materialized from folded space as ancient human technology fully awakened. The approaching entities had consumed half the galaxy, converting entire civilizations into extensions of their collective consciousness that existed beyond normal reality. The surviving species of the hegemony sent desperate messages begging for humanity's forgiveness. They finally understood why their ancestors had erased all records of the Makers from galactic history. Remembering humanity meant remembering the horrors that humans existed to fight. Engineer Michelle Rodriguez worked desperately to complete the activation sequence for the Prometheus array. While reality warped around Earth's solar system, the network of reality anchors required human operators at each node, people willing to sacrifice their individual consciousness to become part of humanity's ultimate defense system. Each anchor needs someone to merge completely with the ancient technology, Michelle explained to the volunteers gathering around her. You won't die, but you won't be human in any way we understand anymore. You'll become part of the universe's immune system. Thousands of humans stepped forward without hesitation. They understood that their species existed for this moment, that their entire evolutionary history had been leading to this final confrontation with entities that threatened the very concept of existence. As transformed humans took their positions at the array nodes throughout the galaxy, they began to remember not just their ancient heritage but their true purpose. Each person carried within their genetic code a piece of the cosmic barrier that separated reality from the void where impossible things waited to consume everything that existed. Captain Morrison, now changed beyond recognition, but still essentially human in his core identity, led the assault against the entity mothership that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The battle took place across realities that normal minds couldn't perceive, with human consciousness serving as weapons against beings that viewed physical laws as temporary inconveniences. They're trying to rewrite the basic rules that make existence possible, Jake transmitted to the command centers. Every attack we make has to reinforce reality while simultaneously fighting entities that exist outside normal space and time. The transformed humans fought with abilities that their ancient ancestors had possessed millions of years ago. They could survive in the vacuum between dimensions and strike at enemies that existed as pure thought rather than physical matter. Their weapons were concepts made solid, ideas given form to battle abstract threats. Michelle completed the Prometheus array activation as the entities launched their final assault on Earth. The reality anchors created a network of stability that prevented the enemy from unraveling the fundamental forces that held the universe together. The array is online, Michelle announced as her consciousness merged with the ancient systems. We're reinforcing the barriers between what is real and what should never be allowed to exist. The battle revealed the true scope of humanity's responsibility. They weren't just fighting these specific entities, but serving as eternal guardians against any threat that existed beyond the normal laws of physics. Every human who transformed became part of a cosmic defense system that protected reality itself from corruption. Rachel Carter, now existing partially outside normal time, accessed the complete genetic memories of humanity's ancient civilization. She witnessed the original decision made by their predecessors when faced with the same threat. Millions of years ago, they chose to sacrifice their visible existence to protect the galaxy from knowledge that would have attracted more predators. Rachel transmitted across multiple realities. They became invisible guardians watching from the shadows to keep younger species safe. The entity's true nature became clear as the battle intensified. They were remnants of universes that had existed before reality took its current form. Beings from cosmic epochs when different laws of physics had governed existence. They viewed the current universe as an aberration that needed to be corrected by returning everything to the chaos from which it had emerged. General Edwards watched as transformed humans throughout the galaxy made their final stand. Each person who had undergone the change was fighting not just for their own survival, but for the right of existence itself to continue in its current form. We're not just humanity anymore, Paul realized as his own transformation completed. We're the universe's way of defending itself against threats that existed before stars were born. Captain Morrison engaged the entity mothership in combat that took place across 17 different dimensions. His transformed consciousness could perceive the enemy's true form, a collective intelligence that had consumed entire realities and universes that no longer existed. They remember when everything was different, Jake transmitted to his fellow humans. They want to turn our universe back into the primordial chaos they came from. That's why they have to be stopped. The final confrontation revealed why humanity had been created by the galaxy's first civilization. Every universe eventually faced threats from entities that existed between realities, and conscious defenders were needed who could operate outside normal physical laws. We're not the first guardians, Rachel realized as ancient memories flooded through the transformed humans. This cycle has repeated countless times across cosmic history. Each universe creates its own immune system to survive, the Prometheus. Air Ray reached full power as human operators throughout the galaxy sacrificed their individual existence to become part of the collective defense. They retained their essential humanity while transcending the limitations of normal consciousness. Michelle Rodriguez, now existing as pure information within the array, coordinated the final strike against the entities. All nodes report ready. We're going to seal them back in the void where they belong. The battle's climax occurred simultaneously across every reality where the entities existed. Transformed humans fought with weapons made of crystallized physics, using the fundamental forces of existence itself as tools against enemies that predated the formation of matter and energy. Victory came at a price that echoed their ancestors' sacrifice. The entities were forced back into the void between realities, but the barriers holding them required constant maintenance by conscious minds that existed partially outside normal space and time. As the immediate threat ended, humanity faced the same choice their predecessors had made millions of years ago. They could reclaim their place as a visible galactic civilization, or they could step back into the shadows to serve as eternal guardians protecting the universe from threats that younger species couldn't imagine. President Rodriguez, still human, but forever changed by what she had witnessed, made the decision for her species. We accept our role as guardians. The galaxy will forget us again, and we'll let them. Forgetting is the only way they can remain safe. The transformed humans began the process of erasing evidence of their existence from galactic memory once again. They would remain as invisible watchers, maintaining the barriers that kept cosmic horrors locked away in the darkness between realities. Rachel Carter recorded a final message before her consciousness fully merged with the ancient systems. She sealed the message in humanity's genetic code, ensuring that when the galaxy forgot, future generations would still carry the truth within their DNA. "We are the guardians who remember so others can forget," Rachel's message concluded. "We sacrifice our recognition so the universe can sleep peacefully. When the ancient dangers stir again, we will be ready." As humanity stepped back into the ciel, cosmic shadows taking their place as the silent protectors of reality itself, the stars seemed to dim in acknowledgement. The galaxy would continue to exist in ignorance of the horrors that lurked beyond the edges of space, protected by guardians who ensured that some knowledge remained buried. The universe slept peacefully, watched over by invisible sentinels who had chosen eternal vigilance over recognition. Humanity had remembered their purpose and accepted their destiny as the guardians who protected existence from things that should never be allowed to return.